If I told you that something as sweet and innocent as chocolate could quietly raise your risk of a life-threatening stroke, would you believe me? For seniors, stroke remains one of the leading causes of long-term disability. We often imagine cigarettes, high blood pressure, or stress as the culprits, but very few people ever look at the chocolate bars, cookies, or creamy desserts they enjoy every day. And that's where the hidden danger lies. I still remember Mrs. Linda, a 70-year-old grandmother who came to me after her mild stroke. She laughed and said, "Doctor, all I did was spoil myself with my favorite sweets." But when we looked closer, the kind of chocolate she had every night was quietly hardening her arteries and pushing her blood pressure to the edge without her realizing it. Her story is not unique. So today, I want us to sit down together and uncover 7 common kinds of chocolate that may look delicious on the outside but silently increase your stroke risk. Before we begin, let me ask you, do you believe chocolate can be harmful to your brain health? Or do you think it's just another food myth? Type 1 if you suspect there's some truth, or type 0 if you think it's impossible. I promise you, we read and reply to every single comment because your voice matters here. And while you're here, make sure to won't miss the important health secrets that could protect you or someone you love. Milk chocolate feels like comfort. It melts smoothly, it brings back childhood memories, and it is often given as a little treat after dinner. But hidden behind that sweetness is a dangerous mix of sugar and milk fat that your body cannot simply brush off. When you eat milk chocolate, the high sugar content raises your blood glucose quickly. At the same time, the saturated fats from milk increase your LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol that sticks to artery walls. Research from the American Heart Association has shown that seniors who consume diets rich in added sugars and saturated fats have up to a 23% higher risk of stroke compared with those who limit them. What looks like an innocent bar can actually set off a chain reaction inside your body. Sticky cholesterol deposits, rising blood pressure, and arteries that become stiff and fragile. Let me share the story of Robert, a 60-year-old retired teacher from Ohio. Every night he would relax in his armchair with a glass of milk and a few squares of his favorite milk chocolate. It seemed harmless. But over the years, his blood pressure crept up. His doctor warned him about borderline diabetes. And finally, one morning, he woke up with weakness on his left side. It turned out to be a minor stroke. Robert was shocked. He thought the danger came only from fast food or smoking, not the candy he loved. His recovery went well, but it forced him to rethink every habit. What can we learn from Robert's story? If you enjoy chocolate, switch from milk chocolate to a small piece of dark chocolate with at least 70% cocoa. Dark chocolate is naturally lower in sugar and higher in flavonoids, which support healthy blood vessels. Even then, moderation is key. 1 ounce is enough to satisfy the craving without harming your arteries. And if you think milk chocolate is concerning, wait until you hear what's hidden inside white chocolate. That surprise might shock you even more. White chocolate looks elegant, smooth, and creamy, almost like a luxurious dessert reserved for special occasions. But here's the twist that surprises many people. It's not really chocolate at all. Unlike dark or even milk chocolate, white chocolate contains no cocoa solids, which means it completely lacks the natural flavonoids that normally help protect your blood vessels. Instead, what you're left with is mostly cocoa butter, sugar, and milk fat. That combination might taste indulgent, but it can quietly thicken your blood and increase triglycerides, which are fats that circulate in your bloodstream. Studies published in the journal Stroke have linked elevated triglycerides to a significantly higher chance of blood clots, the very trigger behind many ischemic strokes. Let me tell you about Margaret, a 60-year-old widow from Florida. She adored white chocolate truffles and often bought them as a little joy during her grocery trips. Margaret had no history of smoking. She stayed fairly active, and she thought her risk was low. But her yearly blood tests revealed sky-high triglyceride levels. She was puzzled until her doctor pointed to her nightly habit of finishing off a few white chocolates. Within months, she began experiencing brief dizzy spells, which turned out to be mini-strokes. It was a frightening wake-up call. So what's the better choice? If you want a creamy dessert, try a bowl of Greek yogurt with fresh berries and just a sprinkle of unsweetened cocoa powder. You'll get a similar sense of indulgence, but with protein, antioxidants, and far less sugar. And if you still crave something chocolatey, remember that dark chocolate offers protective compounds that white chocolate simply cannot provide. Now, if white chocolate feels risky, the next type might alarm you even more. Because when sugar, caramel, and artificial fats combine, the impact on your arteries can be just as harmful as smoking a cigarette every day. Caramel-filled or nougat-packed chocolates like Snickers, Milky Way, or Three Musketeers may feel like the perfect pick-me-up when your energy dips. They're chewy, sweet, and comforting. But what most people don't realize is that this combination of corn syrup, sugar, and hydrogenated fats creates one of the most dangerous storms inside the body. The high glycemic load from the corn syrup spikes blood sugar rapidly, while trans fats damage the lining of blood vessels and trigger inflammation. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, people with diets high in added sugars and trans fats have significantly higher rates of insulin resistance, a condition that sets the stage for type 2 diabetes and doubles the risk of stroke. Take Daniel, a 60-year-old retired bus driver from Michigan. He used to keep a stash of candy bars in his glove compartment, saying they gave him quick energy on long drives. At first it seemed harmless, just a treat to stay awake. But years of daily indulgence left him with a growing waistline, constant fatigue, and eventually type 2 diabetes. One winter morning, he collapsed with slurred speech and weakness in his arm. It was a stroke, brought on by blocked blood vessels that had silently narrowed for years. Daniel later admitted, "I thought candy was for kids. I never imagined it could take away my health." So, what's the healthier swap? If you need a quick snack, try a handful of unsalted nuts with a few raisins or apple slices. You'll get steady energy, fiber to keep your blood sugar stable, and none of the artery-clogging fats. If you still crave chocolate, choose a small piece of dark chocolate instead of a whole bar layered with caramel or nougat. And just when you think the danger is limited to chewy candy bars, wait until you hear about the silky, cream-filled chocolates. They may look fancy, but the hidden risks inside are even more troubling. Cream-filled chocolates, whether it's a rich truffle or a soft fudge center, look like a touch of luxury. They melt in your mouth with a sweetness that feels indulgent. But beneath that creamy texture is a mix of heavy cream, condensed milk, and butter, ingredients packed with saturated fats. When eaten often, these fats make your blood thicker, raise blood pressure, and speed up the buildup of plaques inside the arteries. Once plaques harden, they can rupture and block blood flow to the brain. That's how many strokes begin, quietly, and then suddenly devastating. Scientists at Harvard have found that diets high in saturated fats increase the risk of cardiovascular events, including strokes, by up to 21% in older adults. It's not just about lab numbers. It's about how blood moves, or struggles to move, through vessels that should remain open. Imagine pumping syrup through a thin straw. That's how circulation starts to feel when saturated fats dominate the diet. Cream-filled chocolates may look harmless in a gift box, but for seniors, each bite adds invisible stress to the system. So what's a better choice? If you crave something creamy, swap the fudge or truffle for a chilled banana blended with a spoonful of natural peanut butter. It's smooth, sweet, and satisfying, but with fiber and healthy fats that protect instead of harm. And if you still want chocolate, a small square of dark chocolate is far safer than a cream-filled piece. Before we move on, let me ask you, do you still see cream-filled chocolates as innocent, or do you think they hide a risk? Type 1 if you believe they can be harmful, or 0 if you're not convinced. And while you're here, hit subscribe to Health 365 so you won't miss the tips that can protect your heart and brain every single day. Now, if cream-filled chocolates already raise concern, just wait until you hear what happens when cookies and candies get coated in chocolate. That mix creates a whole new danger. Chocolate-covered cookies and candies. Think of Kit Kat, Twix, or Oreos coated in chocolate. Seem playful and harmless, the kind of treat you share at a movie night or pull from a candy bowl at work. But what looks like fun on the outside is actually a dangerous mix of refined flour, hydrogenated oils, and sugar on the inside. The refined flour breaks down quickly into glucose, spiking blood sugar. Hydrogenated oils, often used to give these snacks a long shelf life, are sources of trans fats that inflame and stiffen blood vessels, and the sugar content is so high that it fuels abdominal fat and metabolic syndrome, a condition strongly linked with poor circulation and clot formation. According to the National Institutes of Health, metabolic syndrome doubles the risk of cardiovascular disease and stroke in older adults. What makes this combination so risky is how it quietly works on multiple levels. Blood sugar surges damage the inner lining of arteries, while excess belly fat releases inflammatory chemicals that further strain the heart and brain. Over time, the blood becomes thicker, less able to flow smoothly, and far more likely to form clots. Those clots, once they break free, can travel upward and block vessels in the brain, leading to sudden, disabling strokes. The irony is that these snacks are often marketed as light or fun-sized, tricking people into believing small portions are harmless, when in reality, even modest but regular consumption takes a toll. So what's the better swap? Instead of a chocolate-coated cookie, try a square of dark chocolate alongside a handful of almonds or walnuts. You'll get the crunch, the sweetness, and even a boost of healthy fats that help blood vessels relax rather than tighten. Another option is to dip fresh strawberries in a thin layer of melted dark chocolate. Sweet, satisfying, and packed with antioxidants. Up next, we'll take a look at a type of chocolate that doesn't even come in a bar. Something many people sip before bed without realizing the danger it may cause overnight. A warm cup of hot chocolate feels comforting, especially on a cold night. Many people see it as harmless, even wholesome. But the instant hot chocolate mixes lining supermarket shelves are often loaded with sugar and powdered milk fats. When seniors drink these mixes before bed, blood sugar rises sharply, and as the body rests, that excess sugar thickens the blood. During sleep, when circulation naturally slows, this sticky blood makes it easier for clots to form. Research from the American Stroke Association shows that strokes occurring during the night or early morning hours are especially common in older adults, often triggered by exactly this kind of metabolic stress. Let me tell you about John, a 70-year-old retiree from Illinois. For years, he ended his evenings with a steaming mug of instant hot chocolate, believing it helped him sleep. But over time, his doctor noticed worsening cholesterol and higher blood pressure. One winter morning, John didn't wake up as usual. He had suffered a stroke during the night. Thankfully, he survived, but his family was shocked to learn that his bedtime drink had quietly contributed to his health crisis. John later said, "I thought it was a comfort. I never dreamed it could put me in the hospital. What's a safer alternative? Try warming up a glass of unsweetened almond milk with a teaspoon of pure cocoa powder and just a touch of honey. This version offers the soothing flavor without the overload of sugar and fat, while still giving you the antioxidants naturally found in cocoa." So now, let me ask you, do you think bedtime hot chocolate is still a harmless treat, or could it be a hidden risk? Type 1 if you believe it can be harmful, or 0 if you think it's safe. And remember, subscribe to Health 365 so you won't miss the everyday habits that could protect your brain and heart. Up next, we'll uncover the chilling truth about chocolate-covered ice cream, a dessert that combines cold temperature with saturated fat in a way that can shock your blood vessels. Chocolate-covered ice cream bars like Magnum, Dove, or Klondike look like the perfect summer indulgence. Cold, creamy, and sweet, they deliver a double hit of pleasure. But inside that treat is a dangerous mix. High-fat ice cream wrapped in a thick layer of sugary chocolate. The saturated fats in the ice cream raise LDL cholesterol, while the sugar overload spikes blood glucose. On top of that, the extreme cold temperature makes blood vessels tighten temporarily, reducing circulation just as the blood becomes heavier and thicker from fat. That 1-2 punch, vessel constriction plus fatty, sugary blood, creates the perfect conditions for a clot or sudden spasm in the brain's arteries. Researchers at the Cleveland Clinic have reported that cold, high-fat desserts can trigger vascular changes within minutes, especially in older adults with pre-existing risks. Consider Evelyn, a 60-year-old grandmother from California. On hot afternoons, she often treated herself to a chocolate-covered ice cream bar. She thought of it as a reward after gardening or spending time with her grandchildren. But after months of indulging several times a week, she began to notice sudden headaches and brief episodes of blurred vision. A medical exam revealed narrowing blood vessels in her brain, aggravated by her diet. One night she suffered a small stroke. Thankfully, she recovered, but Evelyn confessed she never suspected her favorite ice cream bars could be the culprit. What's a healthier choice? On warm days, try freezing slices of banana or grapes and dipping them lightly in melted dark chocolate. You'll enjoy the cold, sweet bite with natural fiber and antioxidants without overwhelming your arteries. Even better, blend frozen berries with plain yogurt for a creamy, cooling dessert that actually supports vascular health. Now that we've uncovered all 7 kinds of chocolate that can silently raise stroke risk, it's time to wrap up with the bigger lesson: how lifestyle choices matter more than any single snack. Today we've uncovered 7 types of chocolate that, while delicious, can quietly increase your risk of stroke. From milk chocolate loaded with sugar, to white chocolate stripped of protective cocoa, to candy bars packed with caramel, nougat, or cream. Each treat carries its own hidden trap. Even hot chocolate before bed, or a cold chocolate-covered ice cream bar can quietly change how your blood flows. But here's the good news. Your health is not determined by a single snack, it's shaped by your daily lifestyle. Choosing dark chocolate in moderation, adding more fruits, nuts, and whole foods, staying active, and checking blood pressure regularly. These small steps protect your brain and heart far more than any short-term indulgence ever could. So I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever been surprised by how a harmless treat affected your health? Share your story in the comments below. We read every single one. And if you found today's talk helpful, tap that subscribe button